Well, folks, it's the Rec Room. Gosh dang it, episode 25, if you can imagine that. I every time that passes, I'm going, what? Like, how are we at 20 plus, let alone 25? It's been remarkable. It really has. And especially you consider about being from October 31st until right now. It's like, man, that's some output right there. But I gotta say, that I feel like, and this is something that, has been on my heart, is that the Lord just keeps providing. And with this show particularly, as you all are accustomed to, we've kind of gone a few different directions. We've had some unique conversations, which are blessings in their own right. But what's been really cool about the last few shows is that we've gotten back to the bread and butter, and that is talking about Jesus and folks' relationships with their faith and how they're walking with him. So we get to do it again today, and it's Akasha Anderson, who is now at Purdue University volleyball and has been at a few other schools, but newly to Purdue, going through a couple things that we'll get into, trials and tribulations of being an athlete, wear and tear on the body, getting involved in the community, in the culture, and with her team. And as we'll talk about, it's been a little bit, well, I won't put words in your mouth, Akasha, but I will say it's been developing and it's getting to a place where it's about to take off. She's about to get more fully involved in the thing. And when that happens, all systems go. So, Akasha Anderson, welcome to the Rec Room. And let me ask you, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is an amazing opportunity.
Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And being as you were at Michigan State previously, that's of course where we got connected, of me being able to be in that seat of doing commentating and being at practice and everything. And I just found it super cool. I remember it was early in the year, it was probably even before the year started. I was talking to Austin Overman, and I said to him, I was like, hey, buddy, let me ask you something. I know I've talked to Julia. I know that you know I've talked to Julia. Is there anybody that you would recommend to have on a podcast? And right when he did it, I remember it was a day where a couple of you all were being interviewed, and I saw you sitting at an interview doing it with one of those, like probably a radio station or something, some news forum in Lansing.
Mhm.
And he was like, Austin goes, you see her? You should interview her. And I, yes, absolutely. So it was soon after that that we got connected. And after all those months, we're here. And I love it and I appreciate
Of course.
it. So here's what I want to do. I want to go a few different directions, but with the first, I want to ask you something. Why is it that you love school, Akasha?
Um, you know, I love school for a lot of different reasons, especially being an athlete. I think it gives people to explore their own options and just
Hmm.
explore their different passions outside of the court. I feel like college gives you so much more room to be able to be creative in what you want to do with the rest of your life. There's a lot of people I feel like in high school that they don't love school, they don't love going to class, they don't love doing all these things. And while yes, it's annoying to have to wake up and go to class every day, like I think when you're able to actually be passionate about what you're learning, it doesn't feel like school, at least for me. And I know that people say I'm a nerd, whatever, whatever. But it's truly like I will do my homework and I truly just love what I'm learning, and it's so unbelievably inspiring and just informative. So I just love what I learn and I love what I'm going into, and it's a very it's kind of what you put in, you get out of it for my
Hmm.
major. So
Hmm.
I do love what I am learning.
Hmm. Well, hearing you say that, I can't say that I'm surprised. And the reason why is because all through the beginning of the season, I think that the narrative in the Lansing press, which isn't very big, but nonetheless, they like talking about Michigan State, is that you just got in the gym and just put in extra reps and just went the extra mile and made that effort. And knowing that and hearing that, now that I'm hearing you say this, I'm like, well, it all connects, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
especially like having the title of student athlete, it's always that debate, chicken or the egg, what comes first, right? And I love what you said. And especially too, this is where I want to go here because we talked about it when you and I were speaking off camera. Is like you've been in the thing of doing volleyball and at the collegiate level for a while. It's getting to the point where you're thinking about what's next. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at that, you'll be doing that next chapter for a lot longer than the one you were in. And
Right,
I think like being in school and being able to have variety in what you do and what you excel at leads to a position where you can be comfortable as soon as you're making that next choice. So,
right,
with all of that being said, you are at Purdue, which is a university that absolutely is kind of prided on being excellent academically. And the other two are no slouches as well. What have the differences been for you in that sense of academics when you've been at Auburn, at Michigan State, and then at Purdue? I know Purdue's new, but if you get a sense of it.
yeah. It has been interesting going to three different institutions, and they've all been in different areas of the country. Obviously, Michigan State's a lot closer to Purdue, so it's a little bit similar in that regard. But I mean, Purdue is a huge research campus.
Hmm.
You've heard of Purdue Owl, you've heard about all of those different situations in which we do our citations and all those things. But yeah, it's a huge research institution, and my major is political science. So I'm constantly just reading research because all of it has to do with history and how does history, repeat itself? How do we see history in politics today? How do we, conduct all these researches to figure out the best way in which to govern not just the US, but to, put ourselves as a country, in places with other countries and just all these different things. So I'm more into international politics, and so I really, really like to just read a lot of research with our relationship with other countries and just a lot of different organizations and how they all interact with one another. So there's a lot of research involved, like I said. And I think that it's just a very, very high academic campus. I have loved being on this team. Every single person is so inclined when it comes to being in the classroom.
Hmm.
Um, every single person knows that there's life outside of college volleyball, and even if they want to play pro, they know that pro will also end, and they want to have a job in something else. I mean, we have some crazy majors on this team, chemical engineering, biomedical sciences, like every single person. We're doing homework 15 minutes before practice. We're doing homework the second practice is over. We're doing homework in the middle of practice and lift. Like the academic integrity on this team and on this campus within the athletic department is nothing like I've seen before.
Hmm.
And so it truly is inspiring to be on a team of girls that is able to be so high academic, but also be the number 9 team ranked in the nation. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. I gotta admit, like that is something that I've never heard before, which is that it's that heavily inclined, and I'm
Yeah.
excited by it. But I think it brings us, Akasha, to a very interesting conversation, which is that the intersection of the political side of things, which I will like avoid making a statement about any side of any aisle, but it's been tumultuous in the last couple years
Yes.
of navigating the political spectrum as a country. But
Yes.
additionally to that, and this is kind of where I think your identity in these different buckets is unique, is because, shoot, it's really hard, I would imagine, to be a Christian and to be in the political space and to be in academics rigorously and athletics. Like, talk to me about that. How are some of the ways that you've been able to navigate being in these different kind of clashing realms of society?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I've been able to figure that out entirely. I think that I've been able to really work on it being here at Purdue. And I was that kid when I was 7 years old. Everyone was telling me you need to be a lawyer because of
Hmm.
the way that you do all of these things. I was that kid. So
Sure.
I have been, basically talking about going to law school since I was 7. So, um, I'm a very competitive person. If you know me, you know that I am extremely competitive. I hate losing so much. I would rather, oh my goodness, it's so bad. Like I hate losing so much. The feeling of losing to me is the worst thing I can ever feel. I don't care if I've won a national championship. If I'm losing a game, it's worse than that. So, that's honestly how I approach just politics as well, honestly. I hate losing debates. So I make sure that I just am always prepared. So it's the same way on the court. I mean, I want to go into a debate feeling like I'm at my 100% and I'm at um my full capacity to be able to compete and work for my team, work for myself. So I go into it the same way with politics because it honestly it's a dog eat dog world out there in the world of politics, but just as it is in the world of athletics. So I feel like they honestly go together so well. Being able to command a room, being able to be a leader on and off the court is so important in my major. And just being going to law school, you have to be able to know what you're talking about at all times and know that if you are wrong, you are wrong. You take responsibility and you go back to the, chopping block and you figure out everything that you need to figure out. So there's a lot of clashes in between athletics and my school, but there's so much that goes on in this world, and I think it took me until around this year to really start to kind of think about my faith more in regards to the world of politics, just because it is such a chaotic environment to be a part of. I mean,
Definitely.
especially being at Purdue and being in these really hard classes, we talk about some really awful things. It sucks because I think a lot of people, especially my age, just want to not think about all the things going on, and it's really easy to just turn a blind eye to everything going on or just things that have happened. And it's really easy to just, be not in the know. I mean, ignorance is bliss, 100%. And so it's really easy for people to just be all sunshine and rainbows and not think about anything, and then everything's fine. And it's a lot easier to walk in your faith and just be happy and do all these things when you don't know anything that's going on. So, as someone who does have to face everything going on, not face, but like actually learn about it, learn about every last thing going on in our country and in other countries and everything, you really have to sit there and think about it. And you have to sit there and be like, why do we live in a world in which this happens? Like, it really makes you scratch your brain and be like, why does the Lord allow for these things to happen? It's really hard to sit there and think about, and it really tests your faith. And I think it's honestly one of the best majors to be in, um, to test your faith and to really just challenge your thoughts because it is a lot. It is very hard to see the things that happen to people, innocent people, and just be like, this isn't okay. But it has been really interesting to try and navigate my faith through everything and just politics because you're right, it is interesting being a Christian and being in all these different buckets, but it's also pretty hard to be a Christian and just be pretty deep into my faith and then see all these things happening and just be like not okay with it because I'm not okay with it, but also just know that there is better out there and that like unfortunately like there is a plan. There is a plan for us. There is a plan for this world. And I know that the Lord is watching on us and looking down on us. And so yeah.
Mm.
It is tough though. It's very, very tough. And it's an internal battle I fight every single day. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. What are some of the ways that, as we talk about walking through these different, challenges, and as you said, I love the way that you put it of facing what's ahead.
right.
Um, what are some of the ways that you've seen growth walking with Jesus through these different vessels?
Yeah. I'll start with athletics. I mean, I've had an interesting go with my college career. Like we said, I've been to three schools. I started my first 2 years off out in Alabama at Auburn, and that was, I'll start with from the beginning. I grew up in a pretty like religious family. My mom and my dad would both open up to us about religion, but they were very big on us being our own independent self and figuring our own walks with God, which I am so grateful for to this day that my mom was heavy on that and my family in general. Um, so my senior year of high school, my dad passed away. 17 years old. He didn't get to go to my prom. He didn't get to go to my graduation. Just, awful, awful situation, right? Um, it also happened a month before I left for college, and I get to school, and I was pretty low in my faith at this time. I hadn't had a huge connection with Jesus, but I think that I definitely still had some kind of connection. And then after my dad passed away, I was like, absolutely not. There's no way that the Lord would allow for my healthy 42-year-old dad to die on a random Tuesday morning. Like, I was in severe shock. I mean, my family had already been going through a lot at this time. And so for that to happen just felt like another thing on another thing. And then like my brother had surgery after he died. I had surgery after he died. Then all these things were just everything was piling on and it felt like nothing was going well. And then I get to college. My entire summer in college, I was not cleared. I had a lot of heart problems going on and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I went into my freshman season not having touched a volleyball for 3 months. And by the grace of God, I ended up literally having the best season of my life. And all of these crazy accolades were going on, but I felt like everything for me was just like, okay, well, I put my entire personality and my entire identity was volleyball because that was the only thing that had gone well for me after my dad passed away. That was the only thing that I looked forward to, and that was the only thing I did well in. And I did well because I was in the gym every single day because I didn't want to sit there and not do anything. I didn't want to sit there and be alone with my thoughts. I didn't want to sit there and have to deal with the reality of life outside of volleyball. So I would go in, I would be in the gym, I would be doing something every single day, and that's I was able to have like a crazy season because of it. And it wasn't until my sophomore year where I really started to feel the repercussions of not taking time for myself and trying to understand everything that went on in my life. And I didn't actually have to cope with the fact my dad had passed away. I left my family the second that he passed away. My brother, my mom, everyone was left at home to cope on their own, and I never coped like at all. Going home, going and seeing my house was like awful for me because I never actually had to sit there and get through what I had to get through. And so there was a lot of work that I had to do, and unfortunately, I didn't start that journey until my sophomore year. And I think that 100% showed on the court. I was not doing nearly as well as I was freshman year. Obviously, sophomore slump is real. Like you have a good, successful freshman year, everyone knows how to stop you your sophomore year. And I started to feel that. I started to feel that pressure, but I had so much pressure on myself from my freshman year that volleyball became my only personality and it became the only thing that I did well in. And it was hard. I mean, I started to not do as well and I broke down. It was awful. I started to break down and I give so much thanks to my Auburn team because that team got me through my entire time at Auburn. They got me through every single thing. That team was the closest team to this day that I have been on, and they will all be at my wedding. Like they're my best friends till I die. And they were so patient with me because every single last one of them would go to church on Sunday. Every single last one of them they wanted a Bible study. They wanted to do all these things. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, because if I believed in God, he wouldn't have killed my dad, like all these things. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, no, I'm not going to church. No, I'm not going to church. Every time I go to church, something else happens. Like just all these negative things around religion and just the word of God. And so, my sophomore spring, I had a rough season, whatever, whatever. I was like, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. Sophomore spring, worst, lowest point I have ever been in my life. And that was when I truly started to be like, okay, let's maybe try to go back to church. Like, okay, fine, I'll go. Because my teammates would sit there and be like, okay, well, I'm inviting you to church. They weren't trying to force me to go, but they were like, okay, well, you can come to church with us if you want. And finally, one day I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. I started going every week. I started actually finally immersing myself in the Lord's word and everything. And I feel like it finally started to hit me. And, I was a little hesitant at first. There was a lot, there was a lot. It wasn't just my team. Like there were a lot of people around me that, that started to also find their journey with the Lord. And that helped me figure out my journey because it wasn't gonna, honest to God, I don't think it would have been on my own that I would have found my way back to the Lord, had it not been the people in my life at the time. And so I 100% know that I went to Auburn and I was with that team for a reason, that God put that team, as much as my time at Auburn taught me so much and it really broke me in so many ways, it really also got me to where I am now 100%. So I could never say that I regretted anything about going there and being with that team. And I'm still so close with that team. And I feel like it really shows something how close you are with someone because of your connection that you have with them and the Lord. And so me being able to have that deep connection with my teammates, but also because they help me with the Lord and other people there, like I just have this deep connection with them now because the Lord is also involved in our relationship. And I think there's a huge difference between my relationships with people that don't involve the Lord and my relationships with people that do involve the Lord. And so that taught me so much. And going to Michigan State, I mean, Kayla was my buddy. I mean, we that was the one person I went to with the Lord all the time. And I think that it was hard because she didn't travel as much, obviously. So that was my one person that really kept me in check with just my faith. And I think that I started to grow out of it a little bit at Michigan State just because of the situation that I was in. And it was definitely tough, but I think I did the best that I could for sure. I could have done better, but I got to Purdue and that was something that I was going to be so big on. And it's only gotten stronger and stronger every single day since I've been here. And it has helped me a tremendous amount in everything that I have done now. It is just insane the growth that I have had since a year ago. I mean, it's only been a year since I started going back to church and started my walk again with the Lord. And it's crazy to think that it's only been a year. And I'm just really excited to see how deep my faith gets in the coming years.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, a few takeaways there.
So cool.
First off, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that my prayer is that a lot of what you just mentioned will resonate with those who listen because uh, you said, and you were very candid and open and real, is like there are times where we are straying away from Him. But I think one of the takeaways that I had with your story is that that's evidence for endurance and steadfastness will be met with the fact that the Lord wants to know you and does love you, no matter how far away that you get. And
Yes.
that's pretty remarkable to think of that, right? And to have that truth be foundational to you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell you, like, I'm very proud of you and very much appreciate uh, just the continuation to keep moving because,
Yeah.
gosh dang it, look at where we are now. And as you
Yeah.
said, these things situationally can bend, can break, can shift how we feel, right? And I just think it's amazing. And that's a really strong testimony, Akasha, to be able to say, I was refined by these things. I moved through this thing because of the way that the Spirit was moving within me,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh man, that got me fired up. Uh, what is there any message you've heard or sermon or passage that you've heard during this period and journey of growth that you've been on that really hit you the most, that resonated in ways that are even maybe hard to describe?
Yeah. So my relationship with church in general has been interesting. I started going to church in Alabama, obviously, when I was in Auburn, and it is very tough to go to a church that I feel like does not align with my beliefs 100% when it comes to certain things in the world. So that has been something that's been very hard as I'm a part of the LGBTQ plus community, right? And I am a Christian, like that is extremely just so lonely sometimes, feeling like there is a whole community out there that does not support who I am, and support who I want to marry one day, and just outright just disgusting to me. And just the people around me and not even just people of my community, but people of other communities. And it's just so hard sometimes being in this situation and just having all these different parts of my life that don't add up with religion, especially being in a place like Alabama that was very hard. Um, all credit to the fact that I was able to, gain my relationship with the Lord again because of a place like Alabama. But I do 100% think that it helped me figure out my own relationship with the Lord too. Um, and so that has been great. But I think that is why I just feel like a huge thing that I am constantly talking about is judgment and just love and how one of the biggest sins is to judge others. And I feel like that's something that is not talked about enough because I feel like it is so easy to judge people who don't walk the same walk that you walk with the Lord. But everyone's walk looks extremely different. I mean, it took me being at my lowest point in order to be able to reach out to God again. And I feel like there are some people that, were raised and just raised on this foundation that that is the only thing you know. And some people have not had to literally be at the lowest point of their life in order to find God again. They've just always known that. And I feel like it is so easy for people to judge one another and to have a certain way of doing all these things. Um, when in reality, we are all just living our lives. We are all walking our own walk. We are all doing these things to make ourselves better and to make ourselves better for the Lord and to walk our walk. And so I think that something that really resonates with me is just like the entire book of John, but especially chapter 13 and verse like 34, I think. I think it's 30, yeah, 13:34. And basically just like love one another as I loved you, because if it wasn't for how the Lord loved us, none of us would be like able to love one another. And it's just crazy to me that people are able to sit there and say, we're not able to love you because of the way that you do your life. But it's like God tells us to love everyone how he loved us because he loves all of us and
Hmm.
we're all his children. So it's crazy to me that people have this preconceived notion in their head that they should shut out an entire group of people who are also children of the Lord. And so that's just something that I think about all the time. And that's probably one of my favorite verses.
Most certainly. Most
Yeah.
certainly. And you know what? I'm reminded of the two things. One, the passage about the wedding banquet, and two, the idea of highways and the hedges, right? Is like that's as you said, and I love the way that you touched on it, is that God calls us to be embracing of those who are from every walk of life. And it
Right.
shows up time and time again in the word.
Yes.
And I just think that was really powerful, Akasha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And it's remarkable how many times that a principle, such as loving one another as Christ loved the church and subsequently us as image bearers of Him, can show up in a timeless, infallible, like, book of writings and assembly of thought that has aged, perfectly, literally. And yet we all, or I say we all, some think that we need to go a different direction. It's like, no,
Right.
that's not what it is. No, no,
Yeah.
no. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. And I know we're gonna pivot here a little bit, but
Okay.
I was thinking of this as we were speaking. Uh is sorry. Um the idea of being gifted and being stewarding a gift that you have, right? Like volleyball is a way that can be used to reflect God's glory, right?
Mm.
As is like being able to commentate for me. I mean, being able to do a podcast, things of this nature. Like the things that we have that we hold very close to the chest that are matters of the world, right? They're things that provide a platform and things that provide a lifeline sometimes. I mean, money sometimes, right? They're ways to reflect God's glory. And I would love to know is when, like, has it been a conscious thought for you about using volleyball as that vessel to reflect God's glory? And if so, when did that kind of come into reality or fruition for you of like, shoot, this is something that's been given to me as a gift, and I can use it to further his kingdom?
Right. I mean, like I said, I think my time at Auburn really I struggled with my love for the game. After my sophomore year, I was shots. I got injured my spring of my sophomore year, and I was happy. I was literally happy that I had gotten injured because I was like, I don't have to play volleyball, I don't have to practice, and that has never been me. Like I said, I'm one of the most competitive people that there is. And I'm in the gym whenever I can be. And so being injured, and being happy about it was just so unlike me. And that's how I knew that I was not in a place that I needed to be in order to grow how I wanted to grow. And so I think that was the first thing that God really told me. I think that was exactly, I knew then that I wanted to leave, and I think that that was God's telling me like you need to move on, and you need to find somewhere where you're going to love the game again. And I think that God brought me to Michigan State, and I was able to love the game again for sure. It was a complete 180, I would say, from my situation at Auburn. And so I think that that's something that, it was like, okay, well, you asked for this, like you prayed for this, and I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to take the other thing away that was so good to you. And so it really taught me how to then navigate through that. And when I got the call that my coach was no longer going to be my coach anymore, that was God telling me, hey, you have a third chance to make this right. You have a third chance to put yourself in the best position that you can be to make your goals really happen. If I wouldn't have come to Purdue,
Uh-huh.
I would not have had my shoulder surgery.
Sure.
I would not have had the growth that I've had with my faith, and I would not have had all of like just all of these things happening. And I feel like that's something that I just have really thanked the Lord for, because there have been so many different trials that I have faced, and every single time it comes back to this being part of my journey. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy because if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would be having shoulder surgery the semester before my senior year of college, when that season mattered the most to come to play pro, I would have been a mess. I would have been a complete disaster knowing that I had to have shoulder surgery when
Mm.
I use the shoulder for everything. This right here is my prized possession when it comes to volleyball. And so knowing that that's going to be taken away from me for the next however many months, and to go into my senior season like this was terrifying. But if I wouldn't have had the foundation that I had with the Lord, then I would have been a disaster. I would have been in so much pain and so much agony, and I would have regretted coming to Purdue. I would have regretted all these things, but there's not been a single chance where I have regretted anything I have done, because I know that it's part of my journey, and I know that the Lord is working in me, and this is one of the ways that He's working in me right now, because essentially I know that this is going to be what helps me move forward, and it's going to be what helps me get where I want to end up going.
Mm. Oh, man. That's good. That's really good. It's really crazy is like each of the individual conditions that we can be living and working in have different things that we can extrapolate, right? And be challenged in and grow in and learn. And I just think like one thing that's been really cool hearing you speak is the way in which you've been able to realize these different matters, right? And going to each of these different places and taking some things, right? That's super cool. When you have this chance to be at Purdue, is there anything that you are looking for to take away? Is there anything that you're anticipating to learn? Like how, and I know it already feels like you've been able to learn some things,
Yeah.
but with the time that you will continue to have and the increased involvement with the program and getting into the season, like what are you anticipating? What are you looking for?
I think the main thing that the Lord is going to have to work in me, and I've had so many conversations with the Lord over the past couple weeks about this, just because I know it's going to be something that is going to break me down, but I am going to not let it break me down, is patience. I
Hmm.
am not a patient person at all. I never have been, and I'm working on it. So I will be one day. But when it comes to injuries, when it comes to things just not working out how they want to be worked out, it is something that I have always struggled with in every aspect of life, relationships, school, like anything with patience, I have really struggled with. And this is going to really ultimately test my patience, because I'm going to be not playing volleyball for a while, and I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be learning how to use my arm again. I just started to be able to use my hand again the other day to grip something. Like next week, I'll be learning how to put my arm like this high above my, like, I'm going to be going from the bottom of like a baby learning how to walk to like being able to actually play volleyball at the highest level again.
Mm.
And that all happening is just going to be stressful. It's going to be I'm going to be impatient. Like I'm not going to be impatient. I'm going to work on not being impatient. But I'm an impatient person and I know me and I know that it will be very hard for me. Um but that is 100% something that I'm going to learn and that's going to definitely be the biggest lesson that I'm going to take out of this and just how to be the best leader that I can be when I'm not on the court because I have started all 3 years of my collegiate career and I have been a natural born leader since I was a natural born leader. Um, so it's always been easier for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna lead this team because I've been on the court the whole time. Now, can I really see how much I can lead a team when I'm not even on the court? Can I continue to build relationships with girls that I don't necessarily know 100% because I've only been here for a couple months?
Mm.
Can I continue to lead this team to still be a successful team when I'm not in the gym with them every single day and I'm going to be doing my rehab. I'm going to be learning how to hit a ball again. And I still need to figure out how to lead this team and be someone who can set a tone for a program that is such a high intensity, high level program. While, we're talking about being so high intensity, high level, I can't even hit a ball. So, I'm gonna have to learn about that a lot as well. So I'm really excited for the challenges that I'm gonna face because it's gonna teach me a lot about myself and it's gonna teach me a lot about how I can be a leader and how good of a leader I can be.
And servant leadership is Christ-like in nature. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that goes unnoticed by many folks is like your role within an organization and within a team doesn't have to be defined. It can be
Yeah.
fluid, right? It can look different at different points during that journey. But as you said, that competitive fire and that spirit, you know what that end goal is, and it's to be hitting, 300 on the outside. I know what it is. Come on now. Uh, but it takes a second, right? As you said, to get back into it. And
Yeah.
I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired that by the fact that you're hunting for patience. How patient, and I'm curious about this, having played for a few different coaches and having learned from some who are, in their own respects, excellent at what they do, what have you learned from Coach Shondell to this point? And how patient is he as a coach?
I would say he's been pretty patient. I mean, it sucks because I wasn't in the gym for that much before I got
Right.
told that I was going to have surgery.
Absolutely.
So within my time there, I've definitely realized like he wanted what was best for me. This is the first school that has been like, hey, let's get your shoulder fixed because we want you to be your healthiest mentally, because mentally my shoulder was taking a serious
Mm.
toll on me. I mean,
Mm.
can
Hmm.
talk about all the physical things of being injured, yes, but mentally, if you are injured and you're not able to play the way that you know that you can play because your shoulder is not able to hit because it's going numb when you're hitting the ball,
Yes.
like that is a mental block 100%. And Dave was just very patient with me. And he's been able to just be like, hey, we know you need to get this surgery. And he instilled a lot of confidence in me and knowing he goes, I went in there to tell him like, hey, I'm gonna have to have the surgery. And he was like, you have no other option. Like you need to have this surgery. And I remember being so scared walking into his office and being like, oh my gosh, like because there have been times where I felt like I couldn't talk about certain things and talk about certain injuries.
I
Not
see.
with Dave, but it just sucks because I went into the office so scared of what he was gonna have to say. And he fully was like, why would you even question having this surgery? Like you need it. You need it for you, but you need it for this team. And I told him straight up, I said, I know that I need to have this surgery if I want to be who I want to be for this team. Because if I can't hit a ball come fall, there's no reason that I should even be on this team. Like, there's no reason. So I know that that's something that I'm going to have to work my butt off for, and I'm going to have to get back to where I was. But I know that me being healthier mentally and physically is going to be better for this team than anything I could have done without surgery. So, he instilled that confidence in me. He said, like, you're going into your fourth year of high level volleyball. We know that you can do these things. It's just a matter of, okay, get yourself healthy so that you can do them. Like, I think a lot of the reason I was able to have a successful freshman season was because my shoulder was fine. Going into sophomore year, I started to have a lot of shoulder problems. Junior year, lots of shoulder problems. And so it's just like, I'm ready to finally have a healthy season again for sure. And I'm really excited. I think Dave has instilled a lot of confidence in me and just being able to know that I can do it because that's half the battle too, is knowing that your coach has your back because there's a lot of coaches for him to bring in a transfer 2 months ago and I'm having to have surgery. That was not on his bingo card. That was not on mine, but that was definitely not on his to bring in a transfer and to have surgery. So for him to be able to be like, we got you, we're gonna get you back and you're gonna be good and you're gonna be fine. It's just that's half of what I needed, honestly. So
Mm. And that feels like a great, great shout to the culture that's being built there, and that I should say has already been built and instilled, right? Is like the willingness to sort through it and to help out, right? And to
yeah.
be a part of the solution, not so much the problem or the issue. So I love that and I appreciate that. What is your view on the way that women's sports and college volleyball are moving? Because there's been a lot of growth, and some things that are happening are really kind of hard to fathom. With the platform that's growing and the increased viewership and some of these stadium games and sellouts, it's just like, what is happening? But I want to know from your point of view, like, how do you feel about it after being in it for seeing the majority of the thing, happen?
Yeah, it has been crazy. I would have never thought I'd be playing in front of 15,000 people.
Mhm.
Um, I would have never thought that I would be someone who people look up to. And I would have never thought that I could have such an impact on someone's life at such a young age. And it's actually been so crazy. I mean, seeing where college sports have gone for women, but especially for volleyball, has just been so surreal because we have there are some girls with crazy platforms. I mean, I have been given this platform as well now, being a higher level volleyball player, and it's been amazing being able to just educate people, spread the word of God, help little girls, just all these things. There's so many benefits that come out of it. I mean, obviously you see the good and all the great things that happen with it. Obviously there's the bad, there's the hate, messages and all those things that you see,
Mhm.
but um at the end of the day I wouldn't give it up for anything. I mean, it's a great um honor to be able to inspire others and just have a platform other people don't have because I've been able to speak out about a lot of things that if I didn't have a platform, no one would listen to me. So it's been amazing to be able to have some kind of platform and have a name in this community. And I have like severe imposter syndrome because I literally think that I'm like a nobody, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, like people ask for my autograph, like people will like DM me and say that I'm their idol. Like it's just so weird, like it's crazy. So I'm really like just happy that I can like inspire the younger generation, but also educate them because that's so important. I mean, we need to understand that it's not just, volleyball. It's life. It's,
Yes.
relationships. It's so much more than just our sport. And I feel like so much of the youth needs to know that because I put my entire identity into a sport and that crushed me. And I would hate for someone to go through the same thing. So, yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard? And I apologize, that was so matter of fact out of what you just said, but I really had a question. Uh, why do you think it's so difficult for high level competitive athletes to separate their identity from their sport? Where is the disconnect there?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact we start so young.
Hmm.
It's even younger and younger. I'm like, I feel like it used to be that like, okay, I started volleyball. We'll just take volleyball and basketball, like for women's sports because those are very hot right now.
Sure.
But it's like I feel like you take those two sports and it's like those girls are starting when they're 5 years old now. They're five, they're six, they're seven. It used to be, I feel like, where girls were starting volleyball in high school and then they would kind of, but like you talk to half my team, you talk to most of these girls that are at this high level, and they're like, oh, I've been playing for 10 years. I've been playing for 15 years. I'll be going on to 15 years now. And that I'm 20 years old. So that's ridiculous. Like to think that I have been playing for more than half my life. Like I'll be playing for, I mean, if I play for another 5 years, that's 20 years of volleyball. That is insane. And I won't get half of my life back until I'm 40. So it's crazy to think that it's like I have spent so much time, so much energy, and just like all these things. And so if I don't do well in it, then, not only is my parents are paying for my club, my parents are paying for all these opportunities, all these things to do. And I'm just grateful that I was good enough when I was younger, that I was invited places, I was going to places, I
Mm,
was able to get my college paid for, things like that. There are a lot of people that aren't able to do that. So of course that's going to sit there and that's going to put in their brains like, oh, I'm not good enough. And then, oh, I'm just not, it's just a lot. It's a lot for young girls to be a part of. I think like starting that young and then, oh, like this girl is getting these offers or this girl is getting these looks. And it's like, okay, well, now their entire identity is within where they going to school. And that was a big thing too, is when I committed to my school at 15 years old, I put my entire identity into that school. And I thought that I was going to graduate from there. I thought I was going to go there and I was going to win an SEC championship. I thought all these things. God obviously had a different plan for me. Um, but it's like we put so much pressure on everything. And I just think that it's nature of just everything. I mean, I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on women's sports in general because we've constantly been told that we're not as good as men's sports. We're not as entertaining. We're not as this. And it's just like, okay, people are finally starting to think like, wow, these are, volleyball just started to be an entertaining sport for people to watch. Like all of a sudden it's this really cool sport that's so high paced and high speed and really cool. But that was not the case. Not even 3 years ago, people wanted to go watch college volleyball because it's why we're able to have these pro leagues here in America now, and that's something that's been really cool. And I mean, there's been so many big time players in both basketball and volleyball that have been able to pave the way. And yeah, I don't know, it's definitely still a work in progress, but I think a lot of it is because we've been told since we were younger that we weren't as entertaining as men. So there's just this pressure to be as good, if not better. No, everyone feels like they have to be better and prove themselves even more. And so there's that pressure, and then there's that pressure from a young age because we start so young, and then it's just pressure builds and then it cracks you because you don't think it's really a problem because you love volleyball so much when you're younger because it's all fun and rainbows and you get to go to class, you get to go to school, you get to have your friends, and you get to go to volleyball and have fun and then go on a little trip on the weekends and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to like Atlanta and I'm having a fun time with my friends and playing volleyball. And then when you get to college, it's like this is your job. This is
mm,
literally your job. If you don't play well, you aren't going to play. If
mm,
you don't, like your mom can't talk to your coach, you can't like there's none of that. Like it's just very cut and dry. And so you start to base your entire identity off of the sport that you came there to play because at the end of the day, only the like everyone knows you only by, oh, Akasha the volleyball player. That's all I've been known by since I was younger, but especially when I got to college, it was like, oh yeah, I play volleyball. Oh yeah, I play volleyball. Oh, I'm a volleyball player here. Oh, you're that volleyball player. Like it's just you are only ever known as your athletic personality. And it's like that's another thing too, is like it's hard for people to separate how you look on the court versus how you are off the court. I don't think anyone would think I'm a huge nerd and I read, textbooks for fun and watch the news every single day. I don't think anyone would be able to figure that out by watching how I play on the court because of how intense I am. But it's like, you have this just personality and identity already attached to you because of your sport. So I think it's so hard to get yourself out of that. And it takes so long. It took me until going into my senior year to figure it out. And I still haven't even figured it out 100%. But I can confidently say that that is not my entire identity now. And I know that so many people struggle with that. But I do know that some of the best athletes were the ones that were able to get through the fact that volleyball is not their only identity. And it really helps them differentiate the two and compartmentalize their life.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Compartmentalizing is one of, I mean, life's keys, right? Is uh, how do you, figure out how to manage the A, B through Z of what's happening? Uh, you know, and I appreciate that you said that actually. That resonates with me too. Let me ask you something. What is a piece of advice? What is a central piece of advice that you would offer to that younger girl who is working through some of the things in sports and trying to find her way, as maybe you and so many others were, some years ago?
Yeah, I think it would definitely go off of what I just said about making sure that there are other parts of your life that you have that are, that you're secure in so that you can play volleyball, but come home at the end of the day and be okay that you had a bad practice because if, I've been playing for 15 years now, I've had probably more bad practices than good ones. So, but that's what makes you better. So, like if I know that I left practice, but like when I had a quote unquote bad practice when I was younger, it wasn't a bad practice. I was learning. I was learning how to be a better volleyball player.
Mhm.
I was broken down so that I could build myself back up. And that isn't a bad practice. I was learning. So it's like that's how I look at it now, but I wasn't going to look at that like that when I was 10 and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't hit any ball over the net today." And it's like, obviously if I'm not hitting a ball over the net today at 20, that's a problem. But I know that if I'm making errors, there's something bigger to it. Why, is my footwork wrong? Is my timing wrong? Like that I can learn something out of everything now. And I go home and I watch film and I figure out what's going on. But now I can go home and I can watch film and think, okay, like tomorrow's a new day. Whereas my freshman year, I would go home and I'd watch film and it would crush me and I would cry and I would have a horrible rest of the night and I couldn't figure out the difference between having a bad practice and feeling like my spot was going to be gone and knowing that, I'm going to be okay. Because right now I'm going to be out for the next however many months and I easily could, not be great when I come back, but I can't worry about that. I have no idea what's going to be happening for me. So I think that a big thing I would just say is to just literally live your life. Like you have no idea what your future looks like. And, the Lord has something for everyone. There is a path for everyone. And if your path goes the way that you want it to go, that's crazy. But I mean, that's crazy that's going to go the way you want it to go because that's not normal. But there's going to be something later down the road. If you have this great, amazing college career that nothing happens, you're injury free, you're an All-American all 4 years, I guarantee you're going to go to pro and you're going to face some kind of trial and it's going to break you because you've never had to go through something like that before. But 9.9 times out of 10, all these girls in college have gone through something, and that's why they're able to work through it. And so I think that being able to just go through hard things when you're younger just helps you, figure that out as you're older. I mean, I played for a club team that was amazing at just like throwing things at you. I mean, we were an insanely disciplined team, like
Mhm.
crazy discipline, military discipline. And it really got me ready for college. And at times I was like, this is awful. Like, why are we running every 5 seconds? Like, like, I feel like I can't do anything right because everything I do that's not right, I'm just on the line and I'm running. But, that got me ready for college. So, I mean, I feel like the more and more adversity that you face, the stronger that you are. And so the more adversity you face before having to really face adversity, the ease not easier it is, but the more inclined you are to be better at it. So I feel like I would tell just girls to challenge themselves, put themselves in uncomfortable positions, put themselves in positions where they are not the best all the time. Because if you are the best all the time, you are going to be in a world for hurting when you get to college. Even if you go to a place where you are the best, you are not the best in your conference. You are not the best in the nation. You are never the best. Even the person who wins National Player of the Year, the next year, they might not win it again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many things to strive for, and so being comfortable is not your friend. You want to make yourself uncomfortable.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what too is like, shoot, there were two things I wanted to touch on out of that. The first being that I feel like perfecting a craft is very closely connected to the way that we're taught by Jesus about how to walk closer to him, right? I think those two things are very similar. But what's interesting about this is that perfecting a craft, and you touched on it because we're thinking about, what it looks like for you to be leaving college and going to the program and, then playing pro for 5, 10, 15. Okay, maybe not 15, but 5.
Not even I'm gonna
but,
say.
but 5. And then moving on, these different plateaus, they're impermanent. But what we're
Right,
searching through and for in Christ is eternal, right? An
right.
eternal dwelling place with him. And I love that dichotomy. Those two things, they're not similar, right?
Yeah,
And that's super cool.
thank you.
Yeah. What do you think about doing a rapid fire segment before we get out of here?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So this will be rolling loud on the rec room, and I gotta ask you first, is what are three words that describe your life as of recent?
Oh, I would say um awesome, uh growing and chaotic.
Okay. Um, why is it chaotic?
There's been a lot going on. I got here, I got to campus, and I wasn't even registered for classes until the day before school started. So that was hectic.
Sure.
Then yeah, I mean, had all these problems with my shoulder, found out I was having shoulder surgery, and the next week I was on the surgery table, and now I'm working towards it's not going to be as chaotic now that I'm not really doing much with my shoulder, but life will definitely start to pick up with my life outside of volleyball because I love to do school and I just love to do all these things. So I have a lot going on this summer regarding internships and just events, and so I'm really excited about that. It'll be chaotic, but it'll be a great summer.
Most certainly. Most certainly. Is it too early to ask you about a Coach Shondell impression? Have you been around him enough? Like
Yeah.
what would one of those be if you got one?
I don't even know if I have like a specific like impression of him, but
Sure.
he's just so like he's such a serious person, but also the most goofy person at the same time. I have been trying to explain it to people for so long, but it's just like his demeanor is so like, hard, strong, all these things, and then he'll just say something so unserious, and it's like what like it's just the connection is not there and it's hilarious to me like he just says some like random dad jokes or something in the middle of practice like we'll be in the middle of a drill and he's like he's a very intense person so he wants what's best for his players and he wants to push us so he'll just say things out of nowhere and it's just hilarious like yeah, he's a great coach. I mean, pushes you in all the right ways, I believe. 100%. He knows how to keep that relationship with you and so that when he's on you and he's hard on you, like it's nothing but anything out of love.
Sure.
So he's constantly telling us that he loves us and I think that's so important because it's hard to find that honestly, especially with just so much going on these days with all the transferring, all the coaching changes. It's really hard to make relationships with your coaches and actually feel like your coach has your back. And this is definitely the most I felt that my coaches have my back in such a short amount of time. And so it's been great, but I don't think I really have that much of like an impression, more
Sure.
so just his demeanor is just, I'm always laughing at him. I feel like there's always something going on and not even like oh, I'm laughing at him. We're all laughing. Like it's just hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
But
What is the most redeeming thing that you've experienced about being a collegiate athlete?
hmm, what do you like? What do you mean by that? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's very fair. When I hear of redeeming, like my thought jumps to something that has fulfilled you. I would say what's the most fulfilling? Yeah,
yeah, I would definitely say my connections, just being able to play with like I said, I've met the people that are going to be in my wedding one day, and I've met coaches that are always going to have such an impact on me, and um, I've met little girls that I still talk to. I love meeting little girls that I've been able to have an impact on, whether that be, uh, someone who's struggling with life at home or just someone who's struggling to hit a ball like from ranging from like girls have told me some like personal things to just like oh how can I get my vertical higher and so it's just really it's just really awesome knowing that I can have an impact on people's lives, little girls on my team, girls, I love being around like freshmen and being able to be there for them, how my upperclassmen were there for me as a freshman, and it's just such a crazy loop of all these people and all these players and coaches, and I just am so thankful for every single last one of them.
Hmm. If you could pick any place in the world to play volleyball, where would it be?
Yeah, so that's actually crazy because I'm starting to think about, professional volleyball and the ability to play in anywhere has been crazy. There's all these different places. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. I think it would be, it's hard to find your most ideal place because I think
Sure,
place-wise, I would like love to go live in Greece and have all the, Greek lifestyle and all these things, and that's
sure.
great. but I also want to be able to play in the US, maybe and live out my little dream of being a 5-year-old girl that was like, I want to be a professional volleyball in the US. And so I feel like it would be crazy for me to not try to play in the US after growing up and there never being a league. And now that I'm 20 and there is a league, it's crazy. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna go for that. But definitely somewhere tropical. I love the beach. I love things like that. So probably somewhere warm.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And then, Akasha, last thing before we get out of here. How can people be praying for you?
Hmm. I mean, right now, for sure, my patience, like I had mentioned, patience is going to be something that is huge for me in just my journey over the next, I mean, my life, my whole life, it's going to be a journey of patience for me, but just definitely over the next year for sure. And there's a lot of unknowns in my life. Like this time next year, I mean, it's March. Pro volleyball starts in January. I mean, I have 10 months of not, I mean, I have no idea where I'm going to be in 10 months from now. And that's crazy to think that like I have no idea. And I'm planning on going to law school, so I have no idea what that entails after pro. And there's just a lot of unknowns for me right now. And I'm a very type A person, and I have to know what's going on at all times, and I have to know where I'm going to be. And I feel like this is really teaching me to just let go of that and let the Lord take over and just have faith in the fact that I have no idea what's going on, but I know everything's going to work out. So keep praying for me and my patience and just ability to stay in the moment. Um, and just continue my journey.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, shoot, Akasha, thank you so much for checking in with the rec room. And I so appreciate your conversation, openness, and willingness to share some things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And have a great day, everybody. That's been episode 25 of the Rec Room with Brian Rector. And today, Akasha Anderson. Sweet.